Welcome to the Scarlet Faithful Podcast, episode 74. I'm your host and co-founder, Aaron Breitman, back on Thursday, May 18th, coming to you early afternoon, and wanted to focus on Rutgers football and the transfer portal with the news on Wednesday night that JaQuae Jackson, Division II All-American wide receiver, has committed to Rutgers. I believe he committed last week, and it was publicly announced last night. Obviously, addressing a major position of need. Wanted to run through some things in terms of what it means to add him, but also talk about the overall position group at wide receiver for Rutgers, and where I also think that Rutgers needs to still address through the transfer portal in the next few weeks. So first with Jackson, obviously good pedigree coming from Division II. Had a great season last year, and just rattling off some stats, almost, I believe, 1,178 receiving yards, 77 catches, 13 touchdowns. What I like about his stats is he averaged over 15 yards of reception. So I always look at that with receivers in terms of how much are they gaining on a catch? How much is that as yards after the catch? He's got the full package in terms of he's 6'3". He's fast. It was reported, it was by the Pittsburgh site, that he ran a 4.41 40 last month at the pro day for his school, which is California at Pennsylvania. He's a Pittsburgh native, but he's got the speed. He's got the size. He seems to, be pretty productive in terms of averaging over 5 catches a game. I can't personally speak to his hands in terms of how reliable, if he had any drops or anything like that, but it certainly seems like he has a skill set that Rutgers absolutely needs. Obviously, wide receiver, very thin. I like his potential. I like what he brings. Another intriguing part is how sought after he was. He actually visited Rutgers first, and then took visits at Miami, Texas A&M, Colorado, Pitt. That's a pretty good list. He also had offers from West Virginia, Michigan State, Georgia Tech, NC State, Cincinnati, Louisville. He was highly sought after. Now, part of that is your demand increases in the portal, right, at a certain period. So we're getting to the stage where, even though he's Division II receiver, he does have a very good resume from there the last 2 years. Top schools, a lot of Power 5 schools are looking at him. There is the caveat that, listen, he doesn't have any FBS experience. He's 5 years at a Division II school. He was actually there 5 years. He redshirted his freshman year in 2018. 2020, the year was canceled due to COVID. So he only played 3 years out of being there 5 years. So he's older. But when people say he's experienced, listen, he played a lot the last 2 years at Division II, but he has no FBS experience. So, listen, I like his speed. If you look at him on film, he gets great separation. How much of that is D2 competition versus reality? But we know that we need a receiver for Rutgers that can get separation. So he has that potential. He ran a lot of, he looks like he has big play potential. He looks like he ran a lot of slants, which we want to see more slants in the Rutgers offense with Shiraka and Wimsatt. I think will be the starter. I think a 3-step drop for Wimsatt and boom, hit the slant. I think this guy Jackson could be a real weapon in that regard, especially just watching his film, which, by the way, I have included on my article on the scarletfaithful.com. So check it out there. He also, he has the size. His size and speed, he could create mismatches. Even though, like I said, he doesn't have Big Ten experience, he doesn't have Power 5 experience, he doesn't have FBS experience. He does have a potential skill set that I think could create mismatches for teams. Because of the versatility as well. He can line up on the inside, he can line up on the outside. Again, I think the transitional period, that's the key. How much can he get up to speed? How much can he learn the offense in the offseason? How much can he ramp up in training camp? Because my bigger point, and I've harped on this a lot, is that Rutgers has to hit the ground running from day one in the 2023 season. You have Northwestern at home on Labor Day weekend, then you have Temple at home, then you have Virginia Tech at home. If you want to go bowling in 2023, You have to win those 3 games. I really believe that. Sure, could you lose one and rebound and steal a win somewhere? Yes, of course. But to really feel confident in September, you win those 3 games. Rutgers is fighting for a bowl bid the rest of the way. Um, you lose 1 or 2 of those games, it's going to be that much tougher. So the offense has to produce pretty quickly, or enough to be able to win games. Obviously, the defense, we have high hopes on the defense, but the offense has to hit the ground running. And that means, in part, Jackson has to hit the ground running with the offense. So there's a lot to learn, short period of time. We're only, we're less than 4 months away from the opener. He is an older guy. He did play a lot at the D2 level. He's got the skill set. What else did I like about him? Yeah, just listen, you want guys that can produce, right? He produced where he was at. So you have to judge him on that. He has some measurables you like, his height, his speed. And it sounds like his differentiator in choosing Rutgers over a lot of these other schools was the NFL experience with Shiano, but really Dave Brock, the wide receiver coach. I mean, we've gone through before who he's coached before, Marquise Colston at Hofstra, Hakeem Nicks at North Carolina. I know I'm forgetting someone else, but he coached with the Atlanta Falcons. Mo Sanu was there. He had, of course, the great Julio Jones. So he's got NFL connections. He's got development history. And that was a selling point to Jackson. So that's great, and I think, now you have Flaherty, major NFL experience on the offensive line. You have Brock, major experience, NFL experience in developing NFL players at wide receiver. Shiano has that NFL experience. So that is something that Rutgers can sell in the transfer portal, and that's huge. And they didn't have that before. So I do think Dave Brock, he's a very good wide receiver coach. So I think that he can develop a guy like Jackson when he has those kind of skill sets. I'm excited to see how he's utilized, how he develops, and certainly addresses a major need, right? Rutgers needed help at wide receiver. Now, what I did want to say, I'm not trying to be negative, but if you're Rutgers and you're going into the season as a Big Ten team, right now it's looking like your top 2 receivers on paper are Jackson, a Division II All-American, but still Division II, and then also Nassim Brantley, FCS receiver out of Western Illinois. Also, 6'2", has a lot of potential. Had some big games at Western Illinois. Played really well against Minnesota last year, which Kirk Shiraka saw up close. Has a lot of potential. Was dealing with an injury. Didn't play much in the spring. Didn't play in the Scarlet White game. But on paper, those 2 guys are projected as definitely, I think, your starting lineup, probably along with Chris Long. You have Kristen Dremel and Rashad Rochelle in the slot. Sounds like Dremel kind of beat out Rochelle as of now. Dremel got the spring award for most improved. But both of those guys are going to be in the mix. And like I said, I've been high on Chris Long for a while. Isaiah Washington's back. He's been inconsistent throughout his career. He had a fumble in the Scarlet White game. So my point is, yes, this is a huge pickup in the sense of he's filling a need, filling a void, has a lot of potential. But to me, this isn't at the same level of Sean Ryan last year, where they added Sean Ryan, had the experience at West Virginia, wasn't a top receiver at West Virginia, but was a consistent number 3 or 4 guy that had success throughout his career. And you know what? He had a good season for Rutgers last year. I really liked Sean Ryan. I thought he could have been utilized even more than he was. And then you had Aaron Cruikshank, who was pretty solid coming out of Wisconsin. Obviously, we know what he did as a kick returner, but I liked his development as a receiver over time. Again, he's another guy I thought could have done more. If he didn't get hurt 2 years ago, I think he could have been even better at receiver. And then Shameen Jones, who did, to his credit, he was up and down throughout his career, but I thought he had a relatively good year last year. So those 3 guys are all gone. I don't think even with Jackson, you could say that the level at wide receiver right now is equal to what they had last year. And that's with an offense that struggled last year. So again, Kirk Shiraka is here now, new system. I think they're going to be better. I think with Dave Brock, Flaherty, added to Ulrich, who shifted roles. And then you have the running backs coach as well, who's back. And of course, his name is escaping me at the moment. But I think the staff is better. I think that you've added a very intriguing piece in Jackson. I like Brantley as well. But again, no one on that wide receiver group has legitimate FBS experience, has Power Five experience. Long to a degree, and he showed flashes last year. But other than that, I mean, they still are very thin. Isaiah Washington has experience, but he's, like I said, been inconsistent throughout his career. Is this year he puts it all together? Let's hope. So my long-winded point, if it's long-winded, I think it might be, I think they need to go back in the portal and get another receiver, ideally someone from an FBS program, ideally a Power Five program, similar to Sean Ryan type. Sean Ryan worked out, only had 1 year. Aaron Cruikshank worked out. They got Taj Harris last year, did not work out from Syracuse. They got Josh Youngblood, who was from the Big 12, had success as a freshman, didn't work out. So I look at it as they're kind of hitting a 500 there, and then we have Brantley now and Jackson in the mix. But I really think to feel better about the wide receiver group, you got to go back in the portal and get another one. And again, I can't figure out scholarships. I mean, it's the way they have this calculated, and it's really impossible to know how many spots are available. But I think you got to go back into the portal for another receiver, hopefully one that has FBS and Power Five experience. Again, you can't expect them to get a number one guy from another team, but you could get a number three guy from a Power Five FBS school that could be challenge Jackson and Brantley for the number one spot here. And that's what you want. You want competition. You want depth. You want improvement in talent, speed, big playability. They need that. And I think, Shiano made the comment the week of the Scarlet White game that there were one or two receivers, I believe is how he put it. So I think they need a second receiver. It's no disrespect to Jackson or Brantley or to Long or anybody else, but you got to add as many options as you can right now in the passing game. Obviously, Wimsatt needs to develop. Obviously, the offensive line needs to develop. I think they, very well could add another offensive lineman from the portal. They've done a relatively good job there. I mean, last year they really prioritized that with getting 4 guys from the portal for the offensive line. Dunlap is back. DeRenzo was very good. Tyler's gone. And then Schiaffoni is back. I think it's going to work out over time. Is a little bit more raw, was younger coming in, but we'll see what role he plays this year. But I think they need to try to find a proven guy. Again, it might not be a clear-cut starter at another Power 5 school, but it could be someone that they bring in that could start here next year. So, again, competition and depth is everything, especially for a program right now trying to move up the ladder. Rutgers has to keep adding. Will they add another portal guy on the defense? Maybe in the secondary. I don't think that's much of a priority. I think you got to get another receiver, and I think ideally you get another offensive lineman. People have asked about quarterback. It doesn't seem like they're prioritizing that. Again, it's not a disrespect thing for Wimsatt, but I'm personally nervous with, you have Wimsatt, Simon, and then, Ajani Shepherd, the true freshman. We saw last year when they only had 3 scholarship quarterbacks, Vedral and Wimsatt go down. You only have 1 scholarship quarterback in that early part of the Big Ten schedule, and it hurt them. It really hurt them. So that's my kind of impetus for saying, hey, maybe see what you can get in the portal. You're not trying to, you still believe in Wimsatt for sure. And I agree with that plan. But if there's a guy out there that maybe was, second or third on the depth chart at another Power 5 school, and they're willing to come and kind of accept the challenge, why not take a flyer on them if you have room? I just worry about the depth at quarterback due to injury, especially because Wimsatt, I think you have to let him run next year. You have to. And that's going to increase injury threat, So obviously I hope he's healthy, and I hope I know that they're going to put him in the best position to succeed. And I think that Chirac is tailoring the offense to his strengths. And, when Simon's in there too, I think that they have a clear plan. And I think if there's one thing you got to have confidence with this offense for next season, it's that the coaches they're not going to ask the personnel to do what they're not equipped to do. I think the game plans, the play calling will be geared towards what they have and what they think are their strengths. So that's extremely positive. And again, bringing in Jackson, I really liked him. Just trying to think if I missed anything. Ian Strong's a freshman to watch, I think, the wide receiver group as well. But, listen, very solid pickup. But I don't think they stop here. I think they need to get a receiver with FBS and Power 5 experience. Last thing I wanted to say on football, Bo Melton, happy birthday. Green Bay Packers, I will disclose this. That is my team. Has been since 1990. Don Magic Man Mikowski, if you're old enough to remember that. I've rooted for them forever. So I've always wanted a Rutgers player on the Packers. Bo Melton, don't sleep on him with the Packers. I think he's got a chance to break into the wide receiver rotation there. We're talking receivers today, and it's his birthday. So happy birthday to Bo Melton, the last great Rutgers wide receiver, and someone I think that will have an opportunity to make a contribution with the Green Bay Packers next season. We'll be back tomorrow. Probably going to talk about basketball. There's word out that the Gavitt Games parents are going to be announced, so might talk Rutgers men's basketball scheduling tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. But thank you for listening and watching this episode. Remember to check out all my coverage on thescarletfaithful.com, and hope you have a great Thursday.